Okay, so the top of this page is the instruction. They kind of went over that part here, and then they also talked about the other part here. So if you can't quite get it, you can study that for a little bit, and that kind of helps you. Or your parents can study it, and that kind of will help them to help you with it. Now, if once you get to it, you just cannot figure it out, and your parents are not there to help you, or a big brother or sister that can understand it, or sometimes your parents don't even know exactly what we're doing, because when you don't use this a lot, you lose it. So yes, definitely your parents did this kind of stuff when they were in fifth grade, but fifth grade was a long time ago for them. So some of them are not quite as remembering it as they need to or want to. So if they can't quite get it, then that's fine. This is what I'm here for. Just like I would be sitting at my desk ready for you guys to come and ask me a question anytime. Give me a text first though. Text me, give me a heads up so that I can grab my math book and see what you're doing, and maybe we can either talk about it on the phone, or we can set up some sort of a meeting through Zoom or through FaceTime or whatever, and we'll get it worked out, okay? You are not going to have to do this on your own. You're still going to have me helping you every day. And your parents I'm still your teacher. Your parents are just kind of monitoring you to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do and to help you if you have questions. And I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, just give me a heads up on a text so that and sometimes I may be, not able to answer the phone right away. I might be in the car driving, which I can't do it then, or at the store, or in the bathroom or something. You know what I mean. So I may not always be able to get back with you right away, but I will do my best. Okay. But since we're not all together sitting here in the classroom, I'm going to be just like you at home probably, or somewhat here in the classroom. Okay. Anyway, now back to this workbook page. Okay. So here's the explanation up here. There's those pieces. Okay. And down here we're using these larger than, smaller than. Is that good enough? Yep. Okay, remember the greater than, less than. The bigger part points to the bigger number. The bigger space points to the bigger number. The little teeny tiny small little point points to the tiny one. Okay? Let's conquer this, shall we? It says to use fraction pieces or find a common denominator. Now, if you wanted to, you've got lots of time, you might be bored, you could take a piece of paper and you could, cut it into a bunch of little pieces like we were just using. Also, I took a picture of this. This shows you, well, let me see, let's put it up here. This shows you a lot like what I was doing, only this is all nice in one little card. And if you were at school, I would let you use these to look at, but you're not at school. So I did take a picture of it. Your parents maybe could print it out if you wanted to, and you can either leave it whole like this as a card, or you could cut it up into pieces and have your own. Okay, so I will send a picture of this to you, because then you can this can be kind of your checker. Okay, I'll show you here in a minute what I'm talking about. Okay, 4/8 is greater than or less than 6/9. Okay, so we need to put them both into the same size of piece, right? Okay. Let's see here. You know what? I wonder. That's probably why. Okay, that's probably why they're using this, because you're not really ready to do that. Well, they don't even have the 9ths on here. I'm sorry, I did not look at this before we got started. Okay, well, what we can do for right now, there's 2 different ways to do this, but one of them is harder than the other. And one of them is they're both kind of hard. Okay, 4/8, remember we did this once before. You should recognize that as 1/2, right? This is 1/2. Okay, and 6/9, what would I love it when they do odd numbers for you, because that confuses you, but what's half of 9? 4 is half of 8, so you'd have to take that extra 1 and cut it in half. So 4.5 would be half of 8, right? And this is, I'm sorry, half of 9 would be 4.5, and 6 is bigger than 4.5, right? So this one is bigger than half. Okay, so we know this is a half, This one's bigger than half, so we're going to go like this, right? Another way to do it is to put both of them into the same denominator, which is just a little teeny bit harder. But 9 and 8, you have to go through the multiples to remember how we did that. Go through the multiples to figure out what number they can both be divided into. Start with a big one. 8 doesn't go into 9, right? So 9 times 2 is 18. Can you put 8 into 18? No. 9 times 3 is 27. Can you put 8 into 27? No. 9 times 4 is 36. Can you put 8 into 36? No. And we could keep going through that, but I'm going to tell you, I'll just skip ahead. The only one would be 9 times 8. And if you wanted to, you could just start there. It's just such a big number. Okay, so we know that both of them would go into 72 because 9 times 8 is 72 and 8 times 9 is 72, right? Okay, so let's put both of these into 72 and then we'll know exactly how big they are. Okay, 9 times 8 is 72. So since we multiplied that one times 8, we multiply the top to be fair. 9 times 8 is 72. 6 times 8 is 48. Okay, same with over here, only we're kind of going backwards. 8 times what is 72? Or actually, 9. So multiply whatever you multiply the denominator by, you have to multiply the numerator by. So 4 times 4 is 16. So now you have, let me get rid of all these extra numbers so you won't be confused. So 6/9 equals 48 72nds. 4/8 equals 16 72nds. Okay, which one's bigger? Now they're in the same size piece. Evan and his brother don't have to fight. They both are the same size of pieces. But this, well, except they are going to fight now because Evan's brother only got 16 of those pieces and Evan got 48 of those pieces. Evan, be nice to your brother. You have to give him some to make 36 and then they'd both have half. But anyway, so we can look at these and say, oh, well, 48, Evan's was bigger than this one, so this one is greater than. And the reason I stared at this is first, I was like, really, we're starting with a big, hard one at first? Because I'm looking at the rest of these are not as hard. That's good, okay? I'm only going to do a few of these with you. Like I said, we have to have you do some of them on your own, or I don't know whether or not you've got this or not. Anybody can copy and answer. Okay, let's look at the one right under it. I hope you guys can see this. I don't know how big I need to make things for you to be able to see. Okay, so there's the answer to that one. All right, so now we have fifths and fourths. Those are two different sizes, right? So we're going to do, we could go through all the numbers, but you know what? It might just be faster to multiply them. Because we could do the multiples. 5 times 1 is 5. Does 4 go into 5? No. 5 times 2 is 10. Does 4 go into 10 evenly? No. 5 times 3 is 15. Does 4 go into 15 evenly? No. So now it brings us to 5 times 4, which is 20. And obviously they're both divisible by 20, or by, can divide into 20. So we're going to make them into 20ths. Okay. But do your detective work here. What did 4 do to become 20? 4 times 5 is 20. So whatever we multiply this one by, we multiply that one by. 4 times 5 is 20. 3 times 5 is 15. Good. 5 times what is 20? 4. 3 times 4 is 12. So now they're cut into the same pieces, size pieces. You only have 12 here. You have 15 here. Which one's better? Bigger? Sorry. This one. Okay? And how many other... You know what? I'll do the next two with you, and then you'll have to just do 2 on your own. You should like that. Okay, this one's easy because 6 does go into 12, right? So we already know this one is 11/12ths, and this one, we just have to convert that one to 12ths, okay? Or we could also go, never mind, forget it. All right, so 6 times what is 12? 2. 5 times 2 is 10. So is 10/12ths or 11/12ths? They both cut into 12ths. This one, Evan's brother has 11. This time, Evan has 10, and that's his number in class. He's number 10. So which one now has more? Evan's brother has more this time because 11 is more than 10. So we, like I said, you always put the big gap by the biggest number and the little teeny point by the little number. Okay? So 11/12 is larger than or greater than 5/6. Then right underneath it, we got 6s and 9s. 6 doesn't go into 9. 9 times 2, though, is 18. Is there something times 6 that equals 18? Yeah. Okay, so we'll put them both into 18ths. Okay? 6 times what gets you to 18? 3. 6 times 3 is 18. 5 times 3 is 15. Good. 9 times what is 18? 2. So 7 times 2 is 14. Okay? Now who has more, little brother or Evan? 15 pieces, 14 pieces. Little brother's now winning. Evan, what's up with that? Okay, so you can see how this is done. And I'm kind of going a little bit fast, but the wonderful thing about this is if you don't understand, you can just rewind me a little bit and listen to it again. Or watch the whole thing over again just because you love to look at my dazzling face. No, I'm sure you don't. You'd rather be watching something else, right? But that's okay. I love you, whether you like to listen to me or not. And we miss you. We miss you, but that's okay. We're going to get through this. Okay, so you still need to finish. Remember, we do our whole page. So if I leave anything blank, that doesn't mean we're done with this. It just means I want you to go back and finish the last ones because that way I know you're getting it. Okay, now we're going to come down here and we're going to add some fractions again, which is what I just got through showing you when I was drawing all those pizzas and we were talking about Evan and his brother. Okay, so we're going to actually do those. Let me raise this up a little bit. Okay, 2/3 and 3/5. So those are different size pieces. We need to put them into the same size. So we can't put 3 into 5. That doesn't work. So we have to come up with a whole new denominator. Okay, so use the big number and start the multiples. 5 times 2 is 10. Does 3 go into 10? No. 5 times 3 is 15. Like I said, if you want to, you can just start there and not have to stop and think through the multiples. The only difference is that sometimes you'll have a smaller multiple that makes it easier, but that's okay because then you have to reduce it. If you don't get the smallest, the least common denominator, if you don't find the smallest one, then you're going to end up having to reduce. Remember, we reduce for the rest of the year in the simplest of terms. Remember, 1/2 is much easier to understand than 20,500 10,250th. Whoops, I did that backwards. 10,250th. That number right there, if I said, okay, reduce that number, you'd be like, what? Guess what? It equals 1/2. So which one's simpler? This one, much simpler. So that's why we reduce it into the simplest of terms so we can understand it. You always simplify your answers for the rest of the year. Okay, so like I said, you could automatically do this times 5 and you would have a denominator you can use, but it just may, if you don't find the smallest one, this is the smallest one that is available. If you don't find the smallest one, then you'll have to reduce. All right, 5 times what is 15? 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times what is 15? 5. So 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, and we're adding. Make sure you pay attention there because they're going to change it to subtracting. Got to always watch your signs. Okay, so 10 15ths plus 9 15ths. We know it's going to be in 15ths because that's what the size of the pieces are. 10 plus 9 is 19 15ths. Now, who knows? Well, let me just ask. Are we done? Is that the simplest of terms? No. Hopefully all of you are saying no. No, this is more than one whole pizza, right? Because remember the pizza's cut into 15 pieces. And you have 19. This is Mom. When she finished, you had 2 pizzas. 15's really hard to 15's really hard to make. Yeah, just pretend those are 15ths, okay? And when you got done, Mom didn't want to put 2 pizza boxes in the refrigerator for leftovers, so she put them all into the same box. Okay, combine them all. So really what you had when you had left over is you're going to divide Remember, divide the top number by the bottom number. Write the remainder as a fraction. Divide the top number by the bottom number. Blah. Write the remainder as a fraction. Divide the top number by the bottom number. Write the remainder as a fraction. Divide the top number by the bottom number. Write the remainder as a fraction. How many 15s are in 19? 1. 1 times 15 is 15. 19 minus 15 is 4. 1 minus 1 is 0. Okay? And the divisor is the denominator. 2 D's. Both start with D. The divisor is the denominator. The divisor of this problem is the denominator of our remainder. So we have 4 out of 15 pieces left. So you have a whole pizza and 4 15ths left. And Mom just put them all into, maybe we had 3 boxes or something. Maybe you had 3 pizzas to begin with. And instead of putting 3 pizzas in back in the refrigerator, Mom just put them into 2. Okay, so we have 1 whole pizza plus 4 15ths. And that does not need to be reduced because there's nothing that goes into both of those. Do you see? Okay, so there's an addition problem. I want you to finish those out. What do you have? 2 more, I think? 2 more addition ones. Let's pop down here to the subtraction ones. And I'll do one of those with you. Okay, we have a half minus a third. And again, you can't really just take one piece away because it's not fair. They're not the same size. And these numbers are just one number away. So let's multiply them together. 2 times 3 is what? 6. So the denominator we're going to work with is 6. Okay? 3, how do we get to 6? 3 times what is 6? 2. So 1 times 2 is 2. Good. 2 times what is 6? 3. So 1 times 3 is 3. Parents, if you're looking at this, if you just to refresh your memory, what I'm doing is 2 times 3 is 6, and 1 times 3 is 6. Or sorry, 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 2 is 2. You just divide. You have to multiply both numbers by the same number to get the equal fractions, equivalent fractions. We learned a fancy word that means equal, right, guys? Can you see this? Equivalent. And it just is a fancy word to mean equal. So if you make equivalent fractions, you can easily subtract now because they're now the same size pieces. So 3 6 minus 2 6. Evan had 3 6. He gave 2 6 to his brother. So how many does he have left? There's still a 6. Evan didn't change them. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1/6. See? Easy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right, now down to the next section. I want you to finish out the ones that we skipped. We're over to estimating. Remember, first you're going to kind of eyeball it and kind of figure out what it should be equal to. Before you do it, it's like a self-checking way. Or if you're mom or dad at the store and you don't have your phone, so you can't do a math problem, you just kind of round up to get a general idea of how much it's going to cost. Okay? So 6 and 1/10. What would be half in tenths? Half of 10 is 5. So 5/10 is half, right? So is 1/10 more or less than 5/10? It's less. So we're going to round that down to 6. Okay? 1 and 7/8. What would be half in eighths? 4/8, right? Half is 4/8. We're just thinking here. This is our think bubble. Half in eighths is 4/8. So 7/8 is more or less. It's more than half, right? So if it's more than half, we're going to round it up. If it's less than half, we round it down. So we rounded this one down to 6 because that's less than half. We're going to round this one up because that's more than half. So we're rounding that one to 2. Because 1 and 7/8 is closer. Is it closer to 1 or is it closer to 2? This one's closer to 2. Is 6 and 1/10 closer to 6 or closer to 7? It's closer to 6, right? So over here, this is an addition problem. remember now why I don't use this green marker. It's really hard to erase. I don't know why some markers are and some markers aren't. Okay, so this is an addition problem. We're going to do it in a minute, and it should be close to, what's 2 plus 6? 8. This answer should be close to 8. So if you were doing this somehow in the store in your head, you'd say, okay, I'm gonna have about $8 that I have to pay. Okay, let's see if that was a good estimate. Okay, we have 2 different denominators again. And remember before when we did this, I said it's like going to the store. You've got mom and you've got you. And sometimes kids wander away and they get lost and they get scared. And I told the kids, mom is more scared than you are, let me tell you. She doesn't want to lose you much more than you don't want to lose her. So you got to stay together. Okay, so we're going to change these. It's like you're going to do your math problem. Okay, you've got math homework. Usually parents don't have math homework. But you've got your math homework to work on. And while you're working on it, don't get lost. Okay, so I say bring the whole numbers over with you before you even get started so you don't forget and wander away from them. Okay, now can we put 8 into 10? No. 10 times 2 is 20. Can 8 go into 20? No. We could just go straight to 80, but there is one smaller. See if you can figure it out. 10 times 3, 30. Can 8 go into 30? 32. Just missed. 10 times 4, 40. Can 8 go into 40? Yes. 8 times 5 is 40. Okay, so we're going to use 40s, and then we don't have to reduce, or at least not as much. Otherwise, we'd have 80ths, and that's a little harder to reduce. Okay, so here we go again. Ignore the moms. They're just standing there waiting for you to do your homework. 10 times what is 40? 4. 10 times 4, 40. 1 times 4, 4. 8 times what is 40? 8 times 5 is 40. 7 times 5 is 35. We're adding again. You can choose. You can either add moms first, or you can add fractions first. And let me tell you, when you're concentrating on fraction problems, you end up usually forgetting about moms if you don't do them first. So if I were you, I'd do moms. Plus, we should put mom first, don't you think? 1 plus 6 is 7. Now do the fractions. 35 plus 4. Remember, the 40th is not going to change. That's how the pizza is cut into 40ths. 40, just pull it down. That's the easy part. 35 plus 4 is 39 40ths. Now do we need to reduce? Nope. Very easy. Because they're only one away and they're not both even numbers. Yeah, this one's the lowest it can go. Now look at this and look at this. Is 39 40ths, what would half in 40ths be? It would be 20 40ths, right? Is this bigger than 20? You betcha. So that would round up to 8. It's closer to 8. It's closer to 8 than it would be to 7, right? Oh, you can't see that, sorry. It's closer to 8 than it is to 7, right? So our estimate was correct. It's really close to 8. Okay, that's how you do that section. Now let's look at the back. Oh, I didn't even look. That was the whole section. Lucky you. You don't have to do any more of that. Okay, now on the back is just more of what we just did. You can look here. Some of them have common denominators already. This one, super easy peasy. It's going to be in sevenths. You don't have to make equivalent fractions for that. They're already there. They are equivalent, right? They're both in sevenths. Over here, though, this is 2 different denominators. So you need to put it into a common denominator first, okay? I'm going to do these 2 with you, and then the rest of this part is exactly the same as what we did on the front and what we're going to do here. You just got to pay attention to the signs. You got to pay attention to the denominators because they're going to throw it all together and see if they can trip you up. Are you going to let them trip you up? No, we're not going to let them trip us up. We got this, okay? So on this one, easy. They're both in sevenths. So we just add the numerators. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 sevenths. And those are just one number apart, so you know that that can't not be reduced. That's in the simplest of terms, simplified. Okay, on this one, they're not in the same denominator. This is back to Evan getting more than his brother because of the number of pieces were not the same size. So let's make the same size. Can you put 4 into 8? You bet you can. So we're going to use 8 for our common denominator. Okay, 8 times what is 8? 1. 2 times 1 is 2. That's how I learned it. That's how I learned to do it that way. And then somewhere along the way I was like, why did we do that? Because 2 8s equals 2 8s. All you do is bring it across. So 2 8s is 2 8s. I'll teach it the way I did so you wouldn't be confused, but duh, 2 8s is 2 8s. I don't know why no one ever taught me that. All right, so 4 is not 8s, and this one is not. We can't just put the 3 over here because 3 8s and 3 4s are not the same, right? This one's cut into 8s, this one's cut into 4s. Which pieces are bigger? Remember, it's always think backwards. The 4ths are bigger because they're bigger pieces. Remember, the pizza's only cut into 4 pieces. This one's cut into 8, so the pieces are smaller. Okay, so 4 times what is 8? 2. Then multiply the numerator. 3 times 2 is 6. And we're going to add. Okay, 6 8s plus 2 8s. The 8s don't change. 6 plus 2 is 8. Oh, are we done? No, because that can be much simpler. It equals 1 whole pizza, right? This pizza's in 8s. You got 8 pieces. I've had that happen exactly, where we put all the pieces together at the end and it makes exactly 1 whole pizza left. So it always tells me, we wouldn't have had to buy without extra pizza. But I like the leftovers, so that's fine. Okay, now the rest of it, let's see here. Let me get rid of my marks. The rest of it is approximately the same. This one, you're going to have to do common denominator or make common denominators on both of these. This one has moms, this one doesn't. Okay, so the rest of this you should know how to do. Some of them are common denominators, some are not. Oh wait, let's look at 23 real quick because that's one we've done before, but you might have forgotten how to do it. Okay, so let's see here. It's right in that glare. Okay, so 3 minus 1 4/5. When your parents come home, or when the pizza delivery man gets there, he doesn't bring it all cut up. Or no, he does. Duh, what am I thinking? He does come with it all cut up. Okay, when you go to the pizza place, or maybe Sam's, I like to eat Sam's Pizza. When you go to Sam's Pizza, you can buy 3 whole pizzas. Sometimes I do that and take them home. Or if you're going to eat right there, I can't eat 3 whole pizzas myself, so these Sam's people are going to have to cut up their pizzas so I can have a piece. I don't want 3 whole pizzas. So what we have to do to be able to subtract this is we have to cut it up. And this one is already cut into 5ths. Okay, so I tell the kids it's usually like playing Uno. When you lay down the wild card, you get to declare the color, right? You put it down and you say blue. You want to change the color to blue. Well, this is the wild card, and this person got to name what size denominator. Okay? They chose 5ths, so we're going to use 5ths. So you're going to take one of these pizzas and cut it into 5ths. Okay? So if we do that, I usually tell the kids to do this. Or you don't have to make the little cloud. You can just put parentheses. Just cut up 1. If we cut up one of those pizzas, 3 minus 1 would be 2 whole pizzas left. And we cut that 1 pizza into 5ths. So how many 5ths would you have if you cut 1 whole pizza into 5ths? You'd have 5 5ths, right? So it's 2 and 5 5ths. So down here we're going to write 2 and 5 5ths. Now if you want to, this bothers me. Some kids don't like to keep writing, so they just do the math this way, but it bothers me. So I like to have them nice and straight columns, so I bring them over. Your choice, I guess. As long as you get the right answer, it doesn't matter. So don't forget mom. Let mom go first. 2 minus 1 is 1. 5 minus 4 is 1. And what size is the pizza in? Pieces in 5ths. 1 and 1/5. Can we reduce that? Nope. That's it. We're done. Okay. So the rest of them shouldn't be that hard. But don't forget, if you have just a whole number, you just have to cut up one of the pieces. Easy, right? Okay, so the rest of this page is a bunch of stuff we've done before, but you still need to know how to do, and this time you're doing fractions. Okay, so the rule of this box is you're going to add everything. X equals this. y equals the addition of this to this. Okay, so in other words, you're going to add a half to this one, and you're going to write it here. Okay, that one is pretty easy. What's the next one? I'm going to let you do that one. So right here, you're going to write a half plus a half. If you want to do this, do this. But I bet some of you could do this in your head. Now this last one though, that last one right there might be a little hard. Okay, because it's a fourth and a half. So remember how many fourths is in a half? That's the same as 2/4, right? So forget about that and do 1 plus nothing, and then 1/4 plus 2/4 equals 3/4. Okay, whoops. I accidentally pushed the paper down. Okay, so you're just adding 1/2 to each of those. This one is adding 1 1/2. And the first one's easy because it's just 2 plus 1 is 3 plus another half, right? These others you're going to have to use and make them into equivalent fractions, okay? So 4/8 and 1/2. Remember what? Let's get the moms out of the way. Let's do those first. Can you see that? Sorry, you can't. It's too big. There we go. Okay, so the 3 1/2 was easy. Now we're going to do 3 moms and 1 mom equals 4. And this one doesn't have a mom. This one's an orphan, or he's staying home alone while his mom's at work during coronavirus time. Okay, and so let's go back to this one. 3 plus 1 is 4, so we can just forget about that for now. And this is an eighths. So how many eighths would be a half? If you want to do it this way, you can. Or if you know it off the bat, out of your head, what's half of 8. But if you don't, that's okay. Go up here and do it the other way that we've been learning. Let me pull this up a little bit so you can see it. Okay, 2 times what is 8? Can you guys see that? 2 times 4 is 8. 1 times 4 is 4. Remember, half of 8 is 4? So that's 4/8. So this is really 1 4/8 plus 3 4/8. We already did 1 plus 3 is 4. And now 4/8 plus 4/8 is 8/8. Are we done? Make sure that doesn't seem right. But it is. Yeah, that's right. Okay. No, we're not done yet because 8/8 can be simplified. 8/8 is much more confusing than saying 1 pizza. You got all 8 pieces, so you have 1 whole pizza. So this is 4 plus 1 equals 5. So write that way. And then this one, I don't know if you guys can see that very well. You can see it on your paper. This is 1 1/2 plus 1 1/2. Okay, and 3/4. Okay, so again, what is half in fourths? Do you know what half in fourths is? If you know it, you should know. It's 2. But if you don't know, then you do the equivalent fraction thingy. 2 times what is 4? 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. 2/4 plus 3/4 is 5/4. Good. And is that simplified? The pizza's cut into fourths. And you have more than 4/4, so you have more than 1 whole pizza, right? So divide the top number by the bottom number, write the remainder as a fraction. So divide the top number over here somewhere. Can you see this? Top number by the bottom number. Divide the numerator by the denominator, write the remainder as a fraction. The divisor starts with a D. The denominator starts with a D, the divisor starts with a D. So the divisor is the denominator, has to go there. Okay, so 4 goes in, how many 4s are in 5? 1. 1 times 4 is 4. With how much left over? 1 is left over. And the divisor is the denominator for the remainder. And you have 1 piece left. So 5/4 equals 1 1/4. Think about that for a second. The pizza's got 4 whole pizza. To make 1 whole pizza, you would have 4/4, right? How much more is there? An extra 4th. See? Makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, so all of that is not the answer. Then this last box is to minus 1/2. And I'm going to let you guys try to figure that out based on what we did. We just got through adding 1/2 down there. Now you're going to subtract it. So you'll have to do the same thing. You'll have to cut up a pizza and use common denominators. I'm going to let you have that one to see how you can do it, if you've got it or not. Then we have a story problem. I'm going to let you do that as well with your parents, because if I do it with you, there's really not much of a way to leave it for you. Well, actually, you know what? I will go ahead and do it with you, because this might be confusing. Let's go ahead and do it. That's okay. All right, it says the donut shop gives away, I should check and make sure you can read that. Yes, okay, here we go. The donut shop gives away a free donut every 3 days. It gives away a free glass of milk every 5 days. Kind of weird, but hey. Okay, so we have this really long chart here. Whoops, I'm running out of room. This really long chart and these steps. Okay, it says step 1, mark every 3rd day for a free donut. Okay, sorry, you can't really see that, can you? Mark every 3rd day for a free donut. Okay, so they already started. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, step 2, mark every 5th day for a free glass of milk. So they did the first one for us, and we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or we could just count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20. And we could have done this too by 3s. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. Either way, however you like it best. And then step 3 says to circle the day that shows a free donut and milk. Score. The way they do it this way, that some days you may get both free. So this doesn't have it on the same day. This is not, this is not, this is not, this is not, this is not. Right here, this is the day. Go on the 15th and you get milk and donut. Okay? Now, we did our 3 steps. Now we're going to come down here. I'm going to mess it up by making it, I'm going to mess it up a little bit by making it smaller. But you get the idea. I think we're still pretty close. 21, 20, 12, because we're going to have to answer some questions here. This was on, oh no, this was on 10 and this one's on 9. Maybe we're going to do this again. 3, 6, whoa, that really messed it up. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, and then 5, 10, 15, 20. All right, on what day could Jamil get a free donut and a free glass of milk? On the 15th. Okay, 32, check your answer. What is the least common multiple of 3 and 5? You know what we did over here? We did the multiples of 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Then we did the multiples of 5. 5, 10, 15, 20. And so you didn't realize it, but we were doing the multiples. So which one is the smallest common one? The smallest common one would have to be 15, right? Because the rest of them don't match up. These don't match up, these don't match up, right? So the least common multiple of those 2 numbers is 15. See? And then 33, does the least common multiple match the number circled on the table? I kind of already gave you the answer. Yes, it does. So we could have stopped and figured that out too. That's probably what we were supposed to do. So we did the 3s and the 5s. We do 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 20. Okay. And then we could have gone and did 5, 10, 15, 20. Remember how we used to do that in a line? Until we meet one, and these 2 meet. Remember how we did that? So instead of doing that, I said, hey, we just did that on this chart. So the chart made it easy. And you could always do that if you wanted to, but a lot of work to try to draw a chart every time you needed to know the least common multiple. Okay, so that's the end of the paper. And like I said, if you have any questions, watch the video again and see if that helps. And also you can always read the directions at the top of the page and see if you can be super smart and figure it out without having to ask anybody. Do you know, that makes me feel the best when I can figure it out by myself. Everybody's different, but I always say, no, don't tell me the answer. Don't tell me the answer. I want to figure it out myself. Maybe you're not like that, but I'm kind of like that. I want to know it myself. I wanted to figure it out. Don't tell me. The ending to a story. Mr. Meyer always likes to, if I'm watching a movie, if we're watching a movie, he likes to pull it up on his phone and read about it, and so he knows how it ends. I hate that. I want to know. I want to see it. I want to try to figure it out on my own while it's going. Spoiler alert. He loves to do the spoiler alert. And he knows. I always say, please don't tell me. Don't tell me. So if you're like me, try to figure it out by yourself. It makes you feel like you've accomplished something, makes you feel proud of yourself. But if you still can't figure it out, ask somebody to help. And if they can't help, I'm sorry, or if you're by yourself, then shoot me a text. My phone number is 316, let me write this on the board, 316, well, you probably don't need that part, 300-1193. You don't really need this part, you just need this part. That's my phone number. And text me first, there you go, because, like I said, who knows if you can't see me. So if you were in the classroom, you'd be able to see if I'm sitting at my desk or if I'm helping someone else, or if I'm across the hall in the other classroom helping someone or talking to Mrs. Perkins, if I'm in the restroom or whatever, or at lunch when you're not at lunch. But anyway, text me first so I can then get with you and just be patient, and that way I can grab my math book. If I'm driving, I'm not going to keep my math book and all my books with me. So give me a chance to answer you, and we can decide if we need to FaceTime or Zoom or whatever we need to get you the help you need. Okay? Still here. Parents are still there to help you, but I'm still your teacher, and I still need you to watch these videos every day so you can figure out how to do it. And if you want to go back to saying, I think I can figure this out on my own, great. But then maybe do it if you're that kind of person and you want to do the page first and then watch the video and see if you got the right answers. That might be a good way to do it too, because then you can say, oh, I was thinking this and she said that. Oh, now I see. That might be a fun way to do it too. You could try it. Try doing your paper first and then watch the video and see if you did it right. But either way, you need to watch the video, okay? We're still in school. You're still required to watch the video. In fact, it tells me when you've watched it, so I will know whether you watched it or not. I need you to watch it just like you would have to if you came to math class. I don't let you just say, I got this. I don't need your help, right? It's math class time. You have nothing else, nowhere else to go. So you sit here during math class. So I need you to do that now, okay? Watch the videos every day. If you want to do the page first and then see if you got it right, that would be a fun way to do it. But either way, I need you guys to watch the videos each day, okay? And text me if you need to. See you tomorrow.